Well, once again, I got distracted. No surprise there. This is the award-winning car talk show in Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could make it. Are they back with us again?
Yes.
They are?
Yes.
They're inside in the warm.
Yeah, they found some warm.
Are they still speaking to us?
Well,
no.
I don't. They may not after this.
We are.
Hey, I brought it up, so.
Yeah, you did. You started it, and then I looked it up, and I'm going, oh, dear God. I had no clue. So I was just commenting off the air there for a second, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. If they knew what it was, I didn't know what that was. So congratulations to you, Andrew. That's all I can say.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, because I obviously lost on that one, didn't I? So let's talk about the Alcan 5000. I'd never heard of this thing before. Yes.
So one thing I want to up front. I goofed. She sent some pictures, and I used them for the promo. You know, the video that we did earlier this week to promote the show.
That you did,
But I didn't think to load them on this computer to share them.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, boy.
You via chat just now, so if you guys can check them out, I did send a couple extra.
Okay.
Just
Let's
draw
see
a picture.
what we can do here.
Draw a picture, Andy.
Maybe he
Hold
can
it
do
up.
Draw a picture.
a screen.
You don't want him
share.
to draw.
No.
You don't want him to draw.
Well, I will tell you that all you have to do is think about being in a freezer for about 3 weeks, and
Negative 40 freezer.
yeah, and
Oh, wow.
that's
You
about
serious?
what it looked like. So
Wow.
Negative 40?
yeah, we
Yeah.
hit the we
think somebody said
personally
negative
hit
43.
in our group of people we were with. Somebody had negative 42 on their. They had a Jeep Wrangler, and their temperature registered at negative 42. That was above the Arctic Circle, in between Inuvik and a town on the Arctic Ocean called Tuktoyaktuk.
How do you keep the
And,
fluids flowing, with the coolants and the fuel? How do you
You
keep all
never
that
turn
going?
it off.
Great question,
Yeah,
and
don't
it was
turn it off.
something to think about. So before we left, we made sure that our antifreeze was up to snuff. I bought a tester and all that stuff, made sure that it was good to 40 below zero. I replaced all the wheel bearings with new grease and all that stuff. The fuel isn't going to freeze. Well, I shouldn't say that. It could freeze, but all the gas, all the diesel, because ours was diesel. All the diesel is winterized diesel, so it's got
Once you get far enough north.
it's got anti-gel stuff in it. I brought a bottle of what they call diesel 911, and it's basically something that will degel the engine and unfreeze it. But what saved our bacon up there was we had installed a product called a Webasto Thermotop.
Evo.
Right, and what that is it's a
In
coolant heater.
There's a song in that, isn't there,
sure there
Mr.
is.
Roboto or something like that?
It could
That's
be.
right, Domo Arigato. So this coolant heater, it's about the size of a shoebox, and it's powered by, it's a pump, which runs off the batteries, and then it has an ignition in it that uses the diesel fuel in the tank, and all it does is circulate coolant.
And what's great about that is that it has a programmable timer on it. So depending on how cold it was, we can set it overnight. So what we did is we just let it run during the day, obviously, when we were driving or fueling or things like that. But we shut it off at night, and we came in last a lot of the times because we were last going out of the gate during the rally. But a lot of times when we were there, none of the outside plugins that you could, put, like we had an oil pan heater that we just installed as well. Most of the times we weren't able to use them because there weren't any outlets left to plug into. So we'd program it. You could program it, I believe, as little as 10 minutes all the way up through the whole entire night if you wanted to. So most times they said, about an hour or so or 90 minutes when it was really cold, and it fired right up every morning.
So basically the key is once you get it going, it's good. But there are teams, a lot of people would put a cardboard in front of the radiator or something like that to keep it from freezing up.
So when you said you went through Inuvik, I'm a fan of the TV show Ice Road Truckers.
We are too.
And apparently you're driving on those roads with them. So were you actually out on the ice roads as well?
Yes, there's so basically each day had X amount of miles, and there were a couple of option days. So one of the optional days, because we spent a couple of days up in Inuvik, one of them was to take the ice roads from Inuvik to Aklavik.
Yep.
And we did that, and
it's 73 miles each way.
Yeah, so
on the ice road.
It was 140 miles of ice roads. It was incredible.
Crazy.
I mean, that is one of those experiences that you can't get anywhere else, probably in the world, but certainly not in North America.
One of the photos I messaged you guys just now is of us on the ice road.
We call it ice roads, but people need to realize it's not an ice road. It's a frozen river that they plow to make a road on top of. So understanding, and I hear him talk about it on the show, is your speed and the wave that you create under the water. Did you have to go through some training on that so you understood the physics of driving on the road?
Good question. We didn't. We're right around, I believe, around 4,000 pounds. So we're like hardly anything compared to those big semi trailers.
We're just told
semi trucks.
Follow the speed limit.
Yeah,
not
go the speed limit. I think the speed limit was, I believe it was 80 kilometers an hour, if I remember correctly. So like around 50, and here we are putting around at the speed limit, and then a local will go past you at 120, like it's nothing. But
on the ice.
Amazing. On ice. And what's amazing is it's just like being on an interstate highway. It's wide, and there's big, long, sweeping bends.
There's signs. There are literally traffic signs that show you if there's a bend or a stop if you go on, onto the river from up on the road and things like that. It was pretty crazy. If
you come into one of those corners too fast, you'll understeer, and the car just keeps going forward. So you really got to be careful on there. And we were on studded tires. A lot of the competitors, a lot of the people were on studs. But
still,
what an experience! That was something I'll never forget.
It's a bucket list we didn't know we had for an item.
How cool is that? How cool, or how cold is that? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, very.
Very.
So, how many vehicles were involved in this?
I was going to ask the same thing.
There was about 40 teams or so. There was a Subaru that ended up developing, I think, rod knock and destroyed their engine about 100 miles outside of Anchorage, the finish, and they were still able to make it, and they sold the vehicle, but just about everybody finished.
They finished with the rod knocking.
Yeah, so, they I think ended up having to be towed. But
one thing that a lot of people do, I shouldn't say a lot, but more than one team, they'll buy a car and then they'll sell it up in Anchorage at the end of the rally. So they had already prearranged sales of at least 3 or 4 vehicles that I know of up there. So,
well, and you kind of know why, because when you come back, like we came back with our Pajero and we were just doing basic maintenance, and just about everybody at least ditch dove once or twice or a few times. And we did once just to avoid hitting another vehicle just because of a quick pile up type of a thing and reactionary. But then he was replacing CV boots and other things and realized, wow, there's a real thin layer of surface rust that was underneath the whole entire vehicle because they use rock salt up there and things like that.
Yeah.
Hence why we have that all treated. But when we were, figuring that out, we're like, that's why a lot of people just sell them up there because it's fully outfitted. People already set up for cold weather, the ralliers are, and then they just sell the vehicles up there because they don't get those kinds of vehicles many times up that far north.
Rust-free.
Right, mainly rust-free. So
interesting.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So what was the most popular brand and model that was on the rally, or was there one?
Probably Subaru.
Yeah, Subaru or Subaru probably. There were about 3 Porsche Cayenne, either Cayennes or Macan.
Yeah, or Macan.
And I'll tell you what, we have talked about this kind of, bench racing, if you will. What the perfect Alcan vehicle is, because while Alcan is it is an amazing driving event. It also intermixes time, speed, distance rallies. So each day you could have between 3, and every now and then there were days we didn't have one, but sometimes there were as many as 3 time, speed, distance stages. So in other words, you'd start out in the morning, do your time, speed, distance course in
like
town,
an hour or so,
and then you'd have a 400-mile transit to the next town, and then you'd check into your hotel.
The tricky thing is
the whole idea is as far as the best vehicle, is something that is powerful, comfortable, and has decent ground clearance.
So did you find many Jeep Wranglers out there? No.
There were a couple. There's one guy that drove from the East Coast all the way to the start line in Seattle, just outside of Seattle, to do the rally.
Oh, wow.
So I think he wins for most mileage.
Oh, my gosh.
A little hardcore there, huh?
Because
there were at least three Wranglers.
With the doors and the top off.
Oh, gosh. Most of them, as far as I know, at least our team members, Judy and JR, they insulated their hard top. They all had hard tops, but they insulated theirs. Apparently, there's a couple of companies out there that make basically stick and peel insulation for those things.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, because at 40 below, man, that's not much protection.
And I was going to ask you.
I would not want to be in a Wrangler at 40 below up there.
You said you stopped.
Some of the things too you have to realize is plastic that far below, or that far below zero,
it's brittle.
Can shatter or can crack and things like that. I mean, one of the things we had very little damage on our vehicle due to the cold, thankfully. I mean, Mitsubishi builds these things like a brick, wet house, but we had a splice right on the B pillar as you on the passenger side, just a crack like this long, right as the curved plastic comes in. And I don't know if maybe the seatbelt just hit it wrong or something like that. But it just is like a perfect little slice of about 5 inches, but it's not going anywhere. But that was, some of the stuff that you have to do is replace plastic bits and things like that.
You mentioned that you stayed at hotels. So the vehicle, y'all parked together. Was it just out in the elements with the vehicle, and you were toasty warm in the hotel?
To that point, most of the hotels, I would say actually all of the hotels.
Motels.
Well, motels, yes.
Motels mostly.
It wasn't. We weren't staying at the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah, I was going to say very different.
They almost all had plug-ins for block heaters. So that's great, but we registered late for the event. So because of that, we were one of the last cars to leave every day. So we were number 39 of 40. So by the time we would get to the hotels, a lot of those block heaters were already taken. But one note on that was they told us, if you've got a block heater, make sure you bring your extension cord, and make sure that extension cord is rated for 40 below zero, because a regular extension cord in that temperature will crack.
Oh.
So bright.
Oh,
Which
wow.
is crazy, because we bought one off of Amazon that was rated, I think, for -50. It was a bright lime green 100-foot cord, and we used it maybe twice, and you couldn't even loop it up at the end. It was just like this rigid ball of craziness. You had to just kind of take like this and just shove it in the car, because it wouldn't even, wouldn't flex. But it worked. It worked great when we were able to use it. But
right.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
So, is there a book that says, okay, if you're going to go on the Alcan 10 million, that I need to find out exactly what it is that I'm going to be facing, so I know what to get, like a below 50-degree extension cord that clearly, when I get done with it, I'm going to have to drape it from bumper to bumper because it won't fold.
Yeah, like a survivalist guide.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple of different things. So alcan5000.com is a great resource. There is just tons of different articles of some of which what we've written about the experience, about what we expected, about some of the gear that we used, what works, what doesn't work. There's a lot of other media that have, like Jeff Schmid, for instance, and that have written articles about that very subject. There's a closed Facebook group, too, so if people are interested, they can become a member there. And there's a lot of questions that flood around. That's probably one of the most instrumental parts of understanding is somebody says, well, hey, you basically need to pack sleeping bags and survival gear in case you get
something
stuck
breaks,
overnight. I mean, people can die in those conditions. Additionally, the rally organizer, Jerry Hines, is awesome to get a hold of, to ask questions to. And the route book itself has information as well for just emergency contacts. We all have trackers. We all have communications. We'll have buddy cars. We have at least 2 or 3 buddy cars. So we're, with Judy and J.R. Russell of Team 38. And then also us, we were Crankshaft Culture of 39. And then Team 40 with a Lexus GX 470, I believe, out of Colorado. Garrett and Kristen. And so since we were the last 3, they coined it Team Back of the Bus. So it was the 3 of us buddy cars, back of the bus, always running around. But those things helped you stay alive, help you stay on track. And then people would give heads up on communications. Hey, there's a wolf in the middle of the highway, because there literally was a wolf. We almost hit it in the middle of the highway, or this person here stuck or semi stuck going uphill, blah, 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 you name it. And that's how we did it.
Yeah.
So on a 400-mile transition between stages, where do you stop to pee along the way at 40 below?
So he's got an easier.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's no popping a squat out there.
I'll tell you what.
You might have to.
So 400 miles was a short day. Our long days were 800 to 900 miles.
Oh, my God. You've got to be. How do you do that?
Wow.
Remember those beautiful orthopedic seats I showed you?
Yeah.
Heated.
I'll tell you what. So there are occasional stops. There are outhouses every now and then.
Most of them were locked.
Yeah, but there were some that were open. I have a hilarious photo.
What good does that do? You shut the door and the whole thing shatters? I mean, how does that work?
It's still cold.
I have a hilarious photo that I took at the Arctic Circle. You can stop at the Arctic Circle. They have some information and signs and a marker.
Was it the Canadian one or the Alaskan one? I can't remember.
It was the Canadian one. And they had an outhouse there. And I opened it up, and it looked like something from the Ice Age. I mean, there was a drift on the toilet. It was hilarious.
A drift on the toilet.
Yeah, but so, because a lot of the roads, the Dempster Highway goes from just outside of Dawson City in the Yukon up to Inuvik in Northwest Territories. The main purpose for that is it's a haul road, like something out of Ice Road Truckers.
Right.
So there's a stop halfway in between, which is Eagle Plains. And the only reason Eagle Plains exists is basically for people to fuel up. And if they have to stop and eat something, go to the bathroom, that kind of stuff. But that's we also did part of the Dalton Highway, which goes all the way up to Prudhoe Bay.
Heard of that one. I've heard of that.
We went up to Coldfoot, and that was, a haul road.
So what's next on the agenda? Maybe something like Baja?
Not the Baja 1000. That's what you're asking.
Well, we did already sign up for the 2022 Alcan 5000. Now that's the summer Alcan, so they do it like the Olympics.
See, I was thinking of the summertime as well, like the warm weather rather than the Arctic.
Well, warm.
Yeah,
Is there warm weather in Alaska?
No, Baja. In the Baja.
Oh, no, they're going back to Alaska.
Well, the Alcan 5000 is like an Olympic thing where every 2 years is a summer, every 2 years is a winter. So 2020 was a winter, 2022 will be summer. The summer route is slightly different. It doesn't go quite as far north. It'll end up in Jasper, Alberta. But it's a totally different route.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to drive on top of the rivers when they're frozen in the summer.
Yep.
Well, how cool, how awesome is that you guys took that challenge and apparently survived
without killing each other?
So. Yeah, we think so.
Yeah,
we did pretty good together.
Yeah, it was great. Some of those days were really, really long. It felt like the Alcan 10 million. But,
so are you prepared to take the Delica one time?
You know what? We haven't decided.
Yeah, we haven't honestly decided what we wanted to take for the 2022. I mean, the Delica has got more power, has got more room, but I think it's also heavier. We have a little, well, right now it's lowered, but we have a little 2007 Toyota Yaris hatchback that we thought, well, that could be interesting to raise up, put some knobby tires on it and get a roof rack with a spare and, maybe do an unconventional front wheel drive, because there are front and rear and all wheel and 4-wheel drive vehicles that do this.
The winning car, by the way, on the Alcan 5000 was a 1973 Ford Capri.
Oh, cool car.
But it was a rally car. Like, it was set up. It had a bunch of ground clearance and it was awesome. And it was piloted by a pretty well-known driver around here. And I don't know how they did it, because there were spots where we put it in a 4-wheel low to get through drifts, and he just must have got a head of steam and blasted through.
I was gonna say,
flew over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pedal to the metal.
That's it.
I learned how to drive a stick on a 73 Capri.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's interesting.
Andy and Mercedes Lilienthal, we love you guys. Where are we going to go next? Tell us.
Oh
Ooh,
gosh.
these days, I'm not sure where we're going next.
Outside.
Yeah. Well, today we're
Outside
going
to move our vehicles
today
back.
Today we're going to the sand dunes in Oregon. We're going to go meet some friends out there and just go have a good time on the Oregon coast.
Socially distanced within our vehicle,
Well,
but who knows? As far as the future, you never know. Maybe overseas for a rally. We don't know.
And maybe you can get a winch company to sponsor your
There you
trip.
go. That'd be a good idea. And Mayor Montero never have a rod knock.
That's right. Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today and telling us all about the Pajeros and the Alcan 5000 Alaska Road Rally. We
Very
appreciate it, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yes.
Thanks for having us, guys. Always a good time.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
See you later. All right. Well, that was fun.
Passionate
Can't imagine.
I was there in my mind.
Passionate about
absolutely.
what
Yeah,
they
but
do.
I don't want to be there.
They painted a great picture.
43 degrees.
No, I'm good.
Painted a great
cow.
picture.
I've never
Couldn't
been
imagine.
anywhere with minus 43. Now, I've been 20 below, but that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
At any rate, all right, time now for This Week in Auto History. And you always have some fun stuff.
Yeah, I will let Jeffy kind of get the video up and running.
Yep, got it.
In 1911, Rolls-Royce adopted the Spirit of Ecstasy mascot, the winged hood ornament that has been in Rolls-Royce's history. And that actually is a 1911 version of it. And now they actually have it where it's on a motor and it drops down underneath the hood when you park the car and then comes back up when you start the car because people have stolen them so much.
That was big in the 70s, taking hood ornaments.
In 1922, Morris Markin established the Checker Cab manufacturing company, that being one of his very early cabs, which people might not remember that as a Checker cab, but the other Checker cab, which they built in Kalamazoo, Michigan, went from the very early 60s through end of production in 1982. And this is the Checker cab everybody recognizes. One of the cool features about that is that has a flat floor. No, go back to the Checker.
Sorry.
That has a flat floor in it. There is no transmission hump in those. And to this day, there are still a few of those driving around New York City as cabs. In 1929, Major Seagrave set a new land speed record in this car at 231 miles an hour at Daytona Beach on the sand, driving a car called the Golden Arrow.
It doesn't look real. It looks like it's made out of wood.
Look at the aerodynamics, and this is all done before wind tunnel testing. Pretty remarkable that they can get that kind of speed back then.
And your head sticking up out of that, yeah.
Unbelievable,
Yep.
And then in 1948 was when the Cadillac started with the tail fins.
Yeah, but look at that model.
Is that beautiful?
I'm tearing up.
That's a 1948 Cadillac.
It certainly is.
And how beautiful of it is. Now think of what show car was made out of a 1948 Cadillac that everybody knows, and Jeff's got the next picture of it. And our friends
they're thinking
ZZ Top
Right.
did Cadzilla out of a 1948 Cadillac.
My son has a 1950 Chevy Fleetline that has that back slope.
Right. Yeah, that fastback
Yep.
look. All the GMs did that for a period of time.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was pretty cool that Cadillac started the tail fins in 48 and ended them in 59. That was the 60,
Leaders.
excuse me, was the last year. And also in 1954, Mercedes-Benz introduced the SL Coupe to the public. Aluminum body, inline six-cylinder with direct fuel injection, gull wings, $1 million car at this point. In 1960, that's when the NASCAR introduced the compact racing. Look at this. Here is a Richard Petty driving a Plymouth Valiant, and those cars would go up to 130 miles an hour with a six-cylinder in it. That had the slant six in it, and they raced against Corvairs, Tempests, and Falcons. Kind of flip to the next picture. And, here they all are on the NASCAR road course at Daytona. And the Valiants finished 1 through 7. Everybody else finished after them. In 1969, John DeLorean was promoted from Pontiac to the top executive at Chevrolet. He was quite the quite the showman in doing that, but his success at Chevrolet was short-lived as he quit shortly thereafter. In 1992, Nissan won the 24 Hours of Daytona, the first Japanese import to do so. And then in 1988, Jaguar went 1-2 in its 24 Hours of Daytona in the Tom Walkinshaw XJR V12. Pretty cool.
One news story before we finish out the day. General Motors became the latest automaker hit by the global shortage of semiconductor chips. As the U.S. automaker said on Wednesday, it will take down production next week at 4 assembly plants. GM did not disclose how much volume it would lose or which supplier was affected by the chip shortage, but said that the focus has been on keeping production running at plants building the highest profit vehicles. Duh. Full-size pickup trucks, SUVs, as well as the Chevy Corvette sports car. Autofocus Solutions, which tracks production, eliminated GM's combined lost volume would total almost 10,000 vehicles per week.
That's a lot.
Per week?
Affected GM vehicles include the Malibu sedan, the Cadillac XT4 SUV, Chevy Equinox and Trax and GMC Terrain SUVs, and the Buick Encore small crossover vehicle. Ford forged the performance pickup market 12 years ago with the first F-150 Raptor. Now the automaker's hoping the third-generation truck will help restore dominance in a field that's grown more crowded. What remains to be seen, however, is whether the redesigned Raptor, or more likely the high-performance Raptor R variant promised in 2022, can knock off Ram's 702-horsepower TRX as the most powerful full-size performance pickup on the market. We shall see what we shall see.
It's going to be fun to watch.
It will be, yep. And Ford Motor Company will install Google Incorporated's Android operating system on all vehicles starting in 2023 as part of a 6-year partnership with the technology giant.
And Chevrolet announced it's going to continue Camaro through 2026.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's a change.
Yeah. Tesla recalling 134,000 35,000 Model S and Model X vehicles with touchscreen displays that could fail. So
I thought they were going to put a longer extension cord on them.
Funny. All right. We got more coming up right after this.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, February 20th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone's invited. You will see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, February 20th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In-Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, February 20th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting.
Well, that's it for this episode of the In-Wheel Time Car Show. When you're on Facebook, please give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk if you don't mind. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn Hunting features, along with all things automotive all week long. In-Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Pandora, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and more. Your favorite podcast repertoire. Special thanks to all of our guests today. The In-Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video technical director, sales and marketing man, Jeffrey Zekin. This week's In-Wheel Time Car Show is produced and directed by Robert B. McIntyre. For booking agent and podcast man, Mike Out of This World Mars and his royalty, King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now, and we hope you'll join us on our next live show next Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Thanks for being part of the In-Wheel Time family. Mask up and stay healthy, and go Chiefs.